Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the Hangout, as restructuring debate heats up, states step up push for more powers. Federal government gazette IPOB ban as Abaribe orders risks arrest over Kanu's uncertain whereabouts. And later in the program, Dino Melaye says 90-day deadline for his recall has expired. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Adeola Yusuf, and Wale Adedayo. And if you are ready, let the hangout start now. Glad to have you join us again. If you have been following the news lately in Nigeria, chances are that you have heard of the need to restructure the country, definitely. Nigeria is a multifaceted, as the suggestions on how best to keep it together and resolve many of its problems. For decades, many people have clamored for a change, not only Nigeria's constitution, but revenue sharing formula and power rotation, words like devolution of power, true federalism, fiscal federalism, restructuring, regionalism, and more have become a common rhetoric in debates across various divides. Today, voices that were once silent are now loud. State governments, once timid, are now politically aggressive. Many advocates of more power to the state government seem to be winning an age-long battle. In the north, some states threw their weight behind devolution of powers, a rework of the revenue allocation formula, and a united Nigeria. They want the federal government to transfer aspects of health, transport, fire service to them, while it focuses on, defense, security, and currency. They, however, rejected creation of new states, saying many at the moment are not viable, many of those states. What will Nigeria look like after restructuring? Wale, let me start from you. This is something that is very, it has been gathering momentum, and right now it's so deafening that even the ruling party, they've set up a machinery across 36 states to gather people's their feelings and put it together so that they'll make presentation at the end of the day.
Two things here. I think I'll take it from what you said earlier, that many of the states are not viable. The reality of the Nigerian situation is that whether you like it or not, you have to merge these states together at some level based on ethnic associations and so on. Because no matter how much power you devolve to them, it will still result in the same thing. The federal government right now has more money than the states. But you tell me how many of those things that have been handled by the federal government are working. For instance, education. What is the business of the federal government with education? The federal government that does not have land is getting involved in agriculture and housing. What is the business of the federal government with that? So it's the same thing at the state level too. Whatever money you devolve, whatever power you devolve, whatever things you give to them, the same messy situation will still be there. But I was sharing with my friend earlier, for instance, you belong to an association and you people are contributing money, probably on a monthly basis during your meetings, and your president or financial secretary or the treasurer runs away with the money. You wouldn't be mad, you would just say you should go away with the money. You wouldn't say so. You get agitated, you go find the guy wherever the person is. It's the same situation that we have in Nigeria today. Nobody cares about what is Nigeria. Those who say it is just lip service at the end of the day. In the US, for instance, it was the states that came together to bring about the union. In the case of Nigeria, it is the center, this federal government you are talking about, that created the state. And that is not how a country should be like now. People should come together. The different ethnic groupings in the country, it may not be the over 100 ethnic this in Nigeria, but there are some that are, you have common traits, common culture, common tradition, and so on. You are grouped together as regions, and then you now negotiate like they did before independence. To me, that's the way to go. You mentioned the APC restructuring committee going on. To me, with due respect to those who put it together and those who are there, I believe it's a 419 arrangement. That's my own personal belief. For God's sake, you are not reviewing the APC constitution. If you are talking about restructuring, you are talking about the constitution of Nigeria. You want to change the constitution of Nigeria.
Yeah, it's not APC members.
It's not
I tell you though, members of public, they are calling for people, traditional rulers.
No, they invite them to come and talk there. The APC people are the people in the committee. Or are there people outside of the APC who are members of the committee?
State governors and basically...
State governors of which party?
APC.
That's what I'm saying. You are not reviewing APC constitution. You are not calling for APC restructuring. You are calling for the restructuring of Nigeria.
I think that was just to show commitment that the party is committed.
If the party is truly committed, it is honest, it is truthful, it is not a foreigner arrangement, the party promised before the election there will be restructuring. You don't need to ask anybody. You were voted into office based on that promise that you were going to move to restructure the country. So it is not when you now get to office, you now start going around asking people for opinion and so. That means you never knew what you were promising in your manifesto. So it's a 419 arrangement. They're going to be going around the country. It's just a waste of money.
But a critical point in this, especially when we are talking about devolution of power, we stressed it yesterday that, the power must, the power sharing equation right now it's so lopsided that it has made the federal government to be like what will I call them? A big
Voltron.
Yes, so big brother that everybody will have to run to at the end of every month, and those things concentrated in the hands of the federal government, and most of them are not actually necessary. Talking about fire service, talking about even prison service. By now, it's only federal government that runs the prison. State government don't run prisons.
I think that people must realize that what is happening, what the states are asking for, it's not really new. Many people have said, look, these guys are only hungry for more powers and all that. In October 1995 in America, this same scenario played out. You had the Association of Governors, and then the Association of Legislators came together and asked for more powers, because the situation is the federal government has so much powers, and even in the US, that it began to infringe on some of the powers. It began to get involved in power, in things, some statutory responsibilities of the states. So now what they are saying, what the Americans said at that time is, look, when we talk of separation of powers, it shouldn't just be between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. It should also be between the federal and state governments. So what we are doing now is not something new. In America, that people see as the ultimate champion of democracy, it has happened. So as the country continues to evolve, the federating units must continue to look at areas in which we can further cement the bond, cement what holds us together. That is the point that Asiwaju was making, that look, this is something that we need to address now. That we merely see ourselves as Nigerians, but what makes us Nigerians? People do not ask that question. That is the rhetorical question that emanated from Asiwaju on the day. So, as a nation, we must constantly address the fault lines, those things that make it difficult for us to have a truly effective federal system. And now we are seeing all of these issues come to the fore. The issue of devolution of powers. State governments have since realized that they need. State governments have since realized that there is a need for them to take more powers off the center, and I think that we need to look at this seriously, because look, a lot of the states are not happy with what's going on. I'm particularly impressed that some of the states, especially states of the Northwest,
Yeah.
are thinking of unicameral legislature. This is the way I want Nigerian politicians to think. Because we are spending so much money on the lavish lifestyles of our federal legislators. And we are talking about 2 chambers here. I believe that 1 chamber can truly serve our country. And I'm happy that those governors and other people in the from the Northwest are beginning to talk along that line.
Adela, quickly, let's just make this point. Now, it's like a moving train. So, what next?
Yeah, it's a good one. Yesterday, as this was happening all over the country, a known voice in the North, Alhaji Tanko Yakasai, on a television program yesterday even asked for blueprint. So what we have now is everyone is talking about the restructuring. While I won't want to align with maybe the method, but now that everyone is talking about it, I think it's something that will take us to where we normally are supposed to be. We've talked about the unicameral, we talked about decentralization or devolution of power. All these things are what will make our democracy, our kind of democracy, to work out. So people should move a step further from clamoring for restructuring. Now should come out with blueprint as to how this thing will work. And I think with that, is a good step in a very good direction. All we need to just do now is to ensure that we put all our eyes on how the process is moving. So that is my take on that.
All right, we'll quickly take this breather. When we come back, we'll stand out. We'll be right back. Stay with us. If you're just joining us, this is Journalist Hangout. We're reaching you live from Television Continental here, and we're still looking at restructuring Nigeria, which way forward. Gentlemen, now, yesterday, Jide proffered, a solution to all this, and like a quick fix, in the sense that if this thing is going to be fast, if this thing is going to make, the timing we want and everything, it should be led by the federal government of Nigeria. That's just raising
The president.
an executive bill
Precisely.
down to the National Assembly.
Precisely.
Because people calling for, conferences, calling for this thing, at the end of the day, you might not have the powers that the National Assembly will have and everything. So, but right now, the National Assembly, they've done theirs, and they've taken it to the states. And we are getting some feelers from the state houses of assembly.
So, you know what the problem is? I think the problem is still back to the APC as a party. As a political party in Nigeria today, according to the 1999 Constitution, you cannot run for elective office unless you are a member of a political party. It is a political party that will present you for election. And your party has a manifesto, a very, very key manifesto, that is turning out to be what the average Nigerian wants now: restructuring the country, having devolution of power and things like that. You are a member of the party. It is the APC that controls the presidency, the national legislature, which is National Assembly, and at least 2/3 of the states of the federation. For God's sake, you cannot jump the gun ahead of your party. What provision did the APC as a party put on ground when they were resuming office in 2015? That's why I said earlier that it's just like playing on the intelligence of all of us. Because if the National Assembly is truly serious, the leadership of the National Assembly, the thing is to work with the leadership of your party, with Mr. President, so that by now the bill for restructuring Nigeria should have entered second reading, or even the final stage. It is that bill which he's talking about, the blueprint. You put everything together in a bill. So
like an executive bill.
Exactly. It is that one that they will be taking around, or called public hearing, that people will debate it. Oh, this one is not there. This one you put there should not be there. These are the things we want in our area and things like that. It is a bill that should come straight from either the presidency or from a member of the legislature at the national level, because that is what the APC promised. So the National Assembly is working on its own. The party is working on its own separately now. And I have, it is very, very possible that the presidency itself might also be thinking along some line. It shows poor coordination or lack of coordination altogether. It shows that you people were not either not prepared or not sincere in the manifesto you presented to Nigerians before you were elected.
But we have started from somewhere.
Well, Jide, I wanted to say modality might be a big problem now.
From somewhere.
So yes, another
Tell us about modality that can be harmonized.
You started from somewhere. You must at least give them credit that they've started this. Let me tell you, you may start something and then the outcome may not be what you actually wish for. That's the nature of this kind of project. You really cannot tell where it ends. We've seen presidents initiate reforms that eventually consume them. That's outside of Nigeria.
True.
We've seen president. Yeah? You saw what? So Gorbachev. Yes. So now
even good luck.
Now yes. Good luck. Jonathan.
Nigeria has never met Jega.
He sent many people to beg him to accept the job. After Jega did, along with others, did a good job on the electoral reform, he chose him. Jega didn't want the job. He was begging everyone who knew him to convince Jega to accept the job. In the end, Jega did an excellent job. If he had picked someone else, maybe that person would have rigged the election for him. So that is aside the point. They have started on this note. Let us see where it leads us. That's why, look, I always try to look at the bigger picture. It is, when you look at what is going on, you can see clearly that we are already seeing some redeeming features. We are seeing redeeming features in the sense that when governors from the Northwest, because when we are talking about the federal legislature, it's dominated by the North. When governors from the Northwest are telling us that they prefer the unicameral legislature, because you and I have always complained about the fact that we really do not need a bicameral legislature. And a president in Senegal, just here, already led the way for us to see clearly that countries that are struggling, you know, to fix infrastructure and really make life better for their people, do not need this kind of expensive presidential arrangement. So they are saying, yes, presidential system is good, but unicameral legislature is better. So let us, I'm beginning to see a few things that make me happy about this whole thing. And that's why I'm saying, look, somebody starts something. It may not pan out the way he wants, but at the end of the day, it may just make a lot of us Nigerians happy. So I'm interested in where it leads us.
Ultimately.
So let's encourage them, let's goad them to continue to toe this line, and ultimately it leads to good governance.
Okay, I have Lawrence from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Lawrence.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Lawrence.
Yes, my contribution is how I would have loved the nation is run as it is now zoned, the 6 geopolitical zones, the better. Because anyone calling for the creation of state now, I mean, you know, that person you don't love Nigeria. Most of these states, I repeat, most of these states, you need to go out and see what's on the ground. The infrastructures are decayed. No good roads. The schools are not true. I was in Abia a month ago. I was in Delta. I went to my own state where I come from, Edo State. You need to see what's on the ground there. The roads are not motorable. You'll be on the road, you will be in one place for hours.
Flooding and everything.
You cannot get to where we are going to. So please, my contribution is that we should be run a line of the geopolitical zone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ayo, I want to end my contribution by saying Lagos generates 55% of the entire VAT, value-added tax, in our country. To that extent, do you think Lagos does not deserve more than it eventually gets
from the central,
when it gets shared amongst the...
You're talking about derivation there. You're talking about derivation.
No, but it's a component of giving more powers to states. It's a component of restructuring.
What the Niger Delta is asking for, that's the same thing that Lagos should be demanding for as well.
And I think a cardinal point of even the plan by this APC restructuring consultation, particularly from the governor from the North is to ensure that there is a reformed revenue allocation formula, which houses or accommodates what has just been talked about. You will agree with me that a lot of things are wrong.
So be asking for 40, 40,
40.
20.
No, so it is,
What's the meaning of that?
40 for federal government, 40 for state, and 20 for
local government.
You could see that what we had on grant is
fairly
lopsided.
equitable.
So it's fairly equitable and it's okay.
40,
Federal
40,
government is
20.
the federal government is, aside from controlling all the structures, all everything that we have, the police, the prison, and
Defense.
the federal government is super rich. By getting a lot, you don't have land, you have a lot of resources to control and a lot of resources to play around with. So I think that 40-40 is a very good thing. I want to end my note on the fact that APC told us when they were campaigning that they would come up with restructuring, and APC consultation forum has come up with this. I think what we are supposed to do is to wait for them. I'm very sure they are not going to pass. It is not going to be. It's not going to be something that will be on every Nigerian. It's something that they will come up with. I think it's going to be a blueprint which will be presented to every Nigerian to criticize.
Okay, let me quickly take Raji. Raji is calling us from Ibadan. Thank you for joining us, Raji.
Good evening.
Good evening, Raji.
I would like to contribute on the issue of restructuring.
Go ahead.
The problem is I have not seen...
Hello, Raji. Go on.
Keep talking. You are listening to yourself. Just keep talking.
For me, the problem is this. I've not seen the governors from the north.
All right, I think, gentlemen, so the consensus now is that the people that are saying that we need to restructure our minds, not this restructuring we are clamoring for. They are losing the battle because there's some people that are saying that, look, let's not first of all restructure our minds and everything, and they fall into the category of Obasanjo and co. So, and there's this argument that even Northerners are beginning to speak up, because at the beginning of this exercise, it wasn't like that. Wale?
No, that's the reality. Baba is a unitarist, if I may want to use that word, and you know that's where it's coming from. From 1966 upwards, he believes so much in this. I won't call it a military concept of a forced one Nigeria, a one Nigeria that people do not really subscribe to, that people do not really believe in. If I'm going to be part of a union, I mean, I must have faith in that union. You won't ask me to go back home and be asking myself, if I'm going to join a club, you don't ask me to join that club, then get my orientation to get into that club or something. I must have my reasons for joining. There must be something for me in that club. I must believe in that club before I join. Not that you coerce me into it, because I mean, technically that is what has happened. What we negotiated at independence is not what we have now. There's nothing like what we had now. The military created what we have now. Yes. What was negotiated at independence and later, which we adjusted, which we can always adjust later by the people, is not what we have today.
Did you agree with this?
Yes, no doubt about it. Some of the problems we have now were created by the military. In fact, the progressive decline of the Nigerian state began with the military. Because in 1985, Emirates had only 3 airlines, and Nigeria Airways had 17.
The same Emirates.
Yes.
Everybody's rushing them.
Look at where we are now.
Especially
from the Babangida regime. The rot began from the Babangida regime. We'll give him credit where he deserves it, but the rot began from the Babangida regime. And since then, every government has always appeared worse than the government that it supplanted. You get the point? It always appears that, oh, the previous government was better than the new government. So we just hope that things will get better as we go on.
We hope things will get better. Coming up on Journalist Hangout, FG Gazette's IPOB ban as Abaribe. Others risk arrest over Kanu's uncertain whereabouts. We have details after this time out. Please stay with us. Welcome back. A man who will remain a subject of national interest is the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. He began a separatist movement that has fueled the furnace of secessionist agitation in the southeast region. To some, Kanu is a true revolutionary, but others, he is nothing but a gold digger. He described himself as the lion of Biafra, but when Operation Python Dance visited, he took off. Today, the federal government says Kanu is a terrorist and must face trial for treason. It gazetted an order of the Federal High Courts which proscribed IPOB as a terrorist organization. This means that anyone promoting the movement will be labeled as an enemy of the nation and prosecuted. But Kanu's whereabouts is as uncertain as his fixed October 17 trial date. Interestingly, if he fails to appear in the courts, a 7th senator, that is Inaya Abaribe, a Jewish priest, and an accountant are at the risk of being sent to prison. This man had in April stood as Kanu's sureties and entered an undertaking to produce him on the next day. Where is Nnamdi Kanu, Babajide? This is, you know, the disadvantage of signing these things, yes, because this is quite weighty. They will need, that's why when they want to give their bail condition, a level 16 civil servant, he has landed property in Abuja, they will make sure they will need somebody that they can hold accountable. Right now, the whereabouts of Nnamdi Kanu is unknown, and he has a date with Justice, what's the name of Binta Yaku at the Federal High Courts, because that day it will be decided maybe his bail conditions that were bail that was given to him
will face amended charges,
and maybe to be revoked or otherwise. Babajide.
You see, it's just like somebody who works in a bank, walking up to you and asking you to be his guarantor. And when you agree to be his guarantor, your BVN, the bank will take your BVN. If the guy bolts with the bank's money, they will empty your account, except if you have deep pockets. So people must think twice before serving as guarantors to people, especially bank workers and the rest. And people take loans here and there. It's the same scenario that Abaribe and others have found themselves now, because it was Kanu's lawyer that came out to say he has not seen Kanu since September 14. So this looks like brinksmanship, in my view, because it's extremely difficult for me to believe that Kanu's lawyer does not know where he is. Because before now, a lawyer came out to say, look, I have Kanu's mandate to challenge the proscription of IPOB. So from where was he speaking to you? The same lawyer will now come out to say, oh, on the next adjourned date, on the date of his next hearing, that it is the federal government that should produce Kanu in court because soldiers invaded his home and they were shooting indiscriminately and all that. There's an attempt to sell a story to us that Kanu was felled by army bullets and all that. You know, they've been trying to say maybe he was killed and all that. We know that that story will not fly. Because no matter what you say about the Nigerian army, yes, they are not nice fellows, but they will not kill Kanu now. They will certainly not kill Kanu. So Kanu, yes, you see, they will not kill this fellow. To try to sell the idea that he probably must have been felled by army bullets is balderdash. Kanu should come out of under his bed where I suspect he's hiding. He should come out and honor his day in court, because they did him a favor. The Jewish priest, Emmanuel Shalom, and the former deputy governor of Abia State, they did him a favor on April 28th when they decided to stand as sureties for them. He should not endanger the freedom of these people by refusing to come out of hiding. He should come out of hiding.
I don't think there's a big deal in him appearing or not. But normally, if
a lot of Nigerians are looking forward to that date. They want to see the consequence. But it's somebody's responsibility.
It looks unlikely that he will go back home. It looks unlikely that he will go back home when they take him before the judge. Because
that's if it goes,
the bail conditions have been recklessly violated.
Don't forget that the Attorney General has even applied to the courts that they should withdraw that bail. That's because he has flouted.
Yes, everybody can see
what I'm saying is this, that the guy may not even appear in court at all that day. Looking at the scenario on ground, if I happen to be one of his friends, you understand?
440.
You will use the Nadeko route.
No, he doesn't even need to use it.
Nanoseconds.
Just stay in one place, move to the next place, the next second, be moving around until he can find his way to Bakassi, cross to the other side and check out. But that's on a lighter.
And it's very easy to check out.
Of course.
And we have seen with Shekau now that you can actually be in Nigeria for so long and not be arrested. 40-day ultimatum went. The other 40-day has almost elapsed again. A fresh 40-day, and we are still looking for it.
See, the reality here is that concerning this Kanu's matter, whatever happens on that date of the court, to me, it's no big deal. But I think what we should be looking towards is a realignment of forces out there among the disenchanted youths who he has misled severally in the East. I believe that some people should be working around the clock behind Kanu to reorientate people
to take the message to their doorsteps.
You can be angry, you can be aggrieved.
But we are all Nigerians.
Because, like I was telling the Mega the other time when he came here,
okay,
there are mistakes.
Chuks, let's quickly take Chuks from Imo State. Thank you for joining us, Chuks.
Thank you so much. Baba Jide and others, I send my greetings.
Thank you, Chuks.
Yes. Baba Jide, this is not a laughing matter. When you talk about Kanu and Igbos and Biafra, it's not a laughing matter. It's a serious issue. I can assure you that Kanu has brought the issue of restructuring into the fold today. Without Kanu and all the things he has done with iPod, maybe we won't be talking about restructuring today. But let's leave that apart. iPod was formed before Kanu came into contention. So if iPod is trying to fight the proscription or whatever the terrorist name that has been on it, it's not Kanu. There are directors, or what they call in CAC. Maybe iPod is there. You will see the people that formed iPod. So iPod can come to fight for not being a terrorist organization. Kanu can be hiding, and Kanu will not be really the one doing it. So the point I'm trying to make is that, it's very clear. Biafra is a thing of the mind. Yes. Every average Igbo man, like it or don't like it, Biafra is in their mind. Wow. Biafra might not be seceding. We don't want to secede. Yes. I don't think most people would like to secede. But the thing is that we all feel the pinch of marginalization. 774 local governments in this country. How many local governments are there from the East? 5 states. Why do we have 5 states? Lots of things. 120 in JAM cut-off mark. When an Igbo boy will have 300, he cannot get university admission, and somebody's having 120, and tomorrow he's going to be the Attorney General.
We get your point, Chuks.
Okay, Chuks.
We get your point.
Yeah, but the situation now, Chuks, is that what we are saying here today, and according to the gazette by the federal government, that group called Indigenous People of Biafra, it's an outlawed organization in the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
It's not the methods, it's Kanu's methods that worsened matters.
Yeah.
And some of the belligerent language, belligerent remarks that he's been making.
People are even saying that.
When I said that, his lawyer came out to say, I have Kanu's mandate to challenge. So if you say that IPOB was formed before, before Kanu even began this agitation, you could be right. But the point that one is making is that the lawyer claimed that Kanu told him to challenge the proscription. So if you were in contact with him and he told you that means if you still get briefed by him, then you should not come and say it's a Nigerian army that should produce him in court.
Honestly, Abdullah, Chuks was also saying that it was Kanu that made the clamor for restructuring, and I'm saying that that's, according to Jide, is a lie from the pit of the air, because Kanu was never clamoring for restructuring. Kanu wanted secession. He wasn't saying that we don't have an equal stake in this pie. He never said
and
so.
it is also not true that every Igbo man wants Biafra. We've seen some of our friends who can die fighting against this so-called Biafra thing. They are there on Facebook. They take on their fellow Igbos. They say, look, this okay. Look, can you even mention Joy Bokwe, for example? I say Joy Bokwe wants Biafra. Such sweeping generalizations are just not necessary.
Those that are facing the courts on October 17, it's not only Kanu. It's only that Kanu has just dominated the narrative. We have 4 other guys by the name Chidi Ebere, Onwudiwe, Benjamin Madubugu, David Nwawusi, Bright Chemeze, all of them. But the narrative here is that except the serving senator and the priest are able to produce this guy that day, they risk jail time. And that is the narrative. And I think they are not initiated. They would have known that if Kanu should bolt, this is what's going to be the consequence. So I think at this point, they should start working hard to make sure that they produce.
Before now, Kanu was always honoring court appointments.
Yes.
In fact, even on occasions when in court he will quarrel with prison officials and all that, he will still honor the next, So they are saying, well, that they must have felt, look, the risk is worth taking. This is not someone who is likely to jump bail. And on the first day, he didn't jump bail. So he remained here and all that. So they must have felt, well, the risk is worth taking.
So as it's playing out now, it's turning out to be a very bad risk. So God save them. They produce this guy in question, and because of what his action and inaction have caused. It's not likely to even appear on this. So it's a very tough one for those that have that stood shorty for him. So October 17
it's just around the corner. When we come back, Dino Melaye has been served with his impeachment notice formally today. We'll be right back after the timeout. Before we went on break, I said impeachment notice to the recall process. Anyway, welcome back. Senator Dino Melaye is talking tough. He has been scared over since constituents of Kogi State Senatorial District said they no longer want him to represent their interest in the National Assembly. More than 180,000 petitions were signed and submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission and INEC to set a timetable for his recall process. But Melaye employed various tactics to end this process, but the commission stood its ground. When matters got to the head, that is, the judiciary intervened and insisted that the process must be carried out. On Monday, Melaye celebrated the obituary of what he called the Made in Taiwan recall exercise. He believes he is no longer facing a recall because INEC failed to conduct a referendum within the stipulated 90 days. But this morning, INEC's legal team and the court bailiff delivered petitions at Melaye's office in Abuja after Senator Dino Melaye's was over. Babajide, it's as if this thing is starting over again. Melaye is thinking the first 90 days, he's looking at the first 90 days, but with the Court of Appeal judgments, with the last court's judgments, I think they are starting de novo.
Yes, if you read that judgment, the court directed INEC to come up with a fresh timetable. Dino Melaye is a very ridiculous senator. All he wanted to do from the beginning was stall this process using the judiciary. Now, it's become clear that he may not be able to stall the process. Because, look, if you say the petitions were hurriedly put together, that the signatures were forged, that some of the people were dead, why not come and prove that by scanning through the 188,000 signatures and determining those that are invalid? But rather than subject the signatures to scrutiny, all you just want to do is ensure that this process does not last its course. Meanwhile, the suspension of the process was at Dino's instance.
Yes, because
it went to court to suspend the process. Now you want all of the time that the process was stalled, you want the 90 days counted. That's ridiculous. That's not justice. That's not justice. So it means that he had the only game plan he had from the beginning was to ensure that this process does not see the light of day. And what some of us are saying is, look, let us test the law. Maybe if we are able to recall an errant senator, from that moment, those senators will begin to feel that they are responsible to their constituents. Because as things stand now, they just go to Abuja and do what they like.
Flame job.
They do what they like. And it's not the only one. A lot of the senators, their consciences are complaining. Some of them refuse to even go home. They just stay in Abuja. From Abuja, they go to Dubai, go to South Africa, and just spend money. Because we spend so much money servicing the luxuriant lifestyle of these fellows. So we need to test this law. Let us see. At the end of the day, he may even still survive it. But why is he scared? What he fails to realize is that the INEC got the order of the court to put the petitions, yes, to the bags filled with the petitions of his
even give him 2
drop
weeks.
them at his doorstep.
Yes.
Because they suspected that he would not want to
evade service.
He want to evade service. In fact, after the Senate sitting today, he ran to his car and left the area. He didn't allow them to physically serve him, but they went to his door. Some of his boys tried to harass the INEC staff, but they still managed to put those bags of, I'm sure they must have reproduced a lot of those papers. So they dumped 3 hefty Ghana must go bags. They dumped them at his door. So he's not going to claim that I didn't see it. Once it's even published in the newspapers, there's no way he can say that he was not served.
Wale?
Well,
salvation for Dino.
No, I think it's Ajekunya. There's no salvation here. But beyond what we're saying here, the fact is that the Dino Melaye case, you might want to look at it in terms of not just a quarrel with his governor or with his constituents, in terms of ongoing crisis within the ruling party. He's the Senate President's right-hand man. Where does that situate the presidency with Mr. President of the Senate? You might want to have a look at that, because somewhere along the line, if a senator is taken out, because you have some even with police cases, you have some with international cases, and they are still there. I don't think the guy in the House of Reps who lost in the courts, I don't think he's been kicked out yet.
Okay, let's quickly take this call from Abuja. Benson is calling from Abuja. Thank you for joining us, Benson.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, my name is Benson. I'm calling from Abuja.
All right, go ahead with your contribution, Benson.
I've been listening most times when you talk about this Biafra thing. Am I on?
Yes, you're on. You're on, Benson.
All right. Most times when you talk about this Biafra thing and Chidi Kano, Nnamdi Kano, the way you people go about it, you go about it as if the way you people go about it, as if Nnamdi Kano is a terrorist. Nnamdi Kano, as far as I'm concerned, has been obeying court order, has been attending court time. If after the attack at his premises, he's been looked for, who is supposed to be held? Is it not their military that invaded his place?
Okay, thank you. Benson was trying to talk about our last topic.
As I was saying, I think it's going to be a 50-50 thing. In a way, it will help the political and democratic process in Nigeria. In a way, too, it will also help the political process. That is, if it is successful. If it is successful, that means you can't just sit there, challenge the party, misbehave with the party, and not expect some backlash. Some sanctions, sort of. Then at the same time, too, you need to behave in court. I mean, as a senator, there's a level of decorum to which you must subscribe. I mean, you don't adopt area boy tactics in being, I mean, as a senator.
When you're dealing with your governor that has
exactly
the watchers.
Because the reality of the Nigerian situation is that there is no National Assembly member that is not directly or indirectly attached to his or her state governor, because it is the governors that will give them tickets
for another time. Adiola?
Okay, it's a tragicomedy, and I'm very, very sure Senator Dino Melaye never thought it would get to this level. He never imagined.
Me too, I never thought it would go this far.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's going to be something good for Nigeria. Whether there are undercurrents or it has never happened in the history of Nigeria.
We are testing the process.
We are testing the process. And I think Senator Dino Melaye should go to back to the drawing board to align with his lawyers to look at how they will look at
Chief Mike
yes, to look at the content of what is happening now, instead of trying to evade the process. So it's going to be something good for Nigeria. At the end of the day, those documents have been served on his office 213 block 2 of the Senate. So let's see how it goes. And I think everyone concerned should try to get their house in order, and at the end of the day, it's going to be to the benefit of Nigeria.
Well, actually, you are an interested party in this.
If Dino doesn't get his house in order, that's not my business. He has never truly served the people of his constituency. He has never truly served them. And if is certain that he has served them, they will not be able to put those signatures together. Honestly. So all we require from him is go and verify those signatures. You said those signatures were fake. Now go and prove that those signatures are fake. So at the end of the day, if you substantially ridicule the process, you will be able to keep your seat. But to try to use the judiciary, brinksmanship and all that to escape is what I quarrel with.
If I were him, I'll release another song.
I want to thank you, Adeola Yusuf, for being part of today's edition of Journalist Hangouts, and Wale Adedayo. Thank you, and Babajide Kolade Ositoju. And that's it on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. You can also watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 on DSTV 418 and GoTV 45. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on all our platforms showing on the screen right now. We have like 6 of them, and you can watch it on youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozuba. Bye for now. God bless Nigeria.